another round for the Blind Guardian history topics. Again, the old Guardian band and you two. And we want to talk about the albums right now, right?
Yeah. So how did you deal with the pressure to come up with a new album as soon as you did up? And I mean, it's not a long period of time between the two albums.
We started playing cards, basically. That's around the time when we, decided it's about the time to do rehearsals every day to come up with as much songs as possible. But basically what we did in the beginning of this period was playing cards, complaining about whatever, because the record company was not working good enough on Battalions of Fear. Of course, we were a little excited first, when the album would be released and, how it would appear to people, how the reaction would be, all that stuff. And, we were sure with Battalions of Fear we would tour the world. And that did not take place, obviously. We played a few shows with a band called Grinder and a few single shows here and there. So we would have had plenty of time within the year to create new songs, but the first 3 or 4 months we did nothing but playing cards, and jamming and having fun and enjoying ourselves and being stars.
Because we were still in that demo band mode. We didn't switch to a really album mode and being in a studio on a regular basis. We didn't realize that. And the problem was that when we got the contract, we could use all the demo songs. We didn't need to work out so many new songs. It was a few, and we took our time, but we were still thinking, we have all the time in the world. And then Charlie Rinne said, I want the next album within a year. And we really didn't realize how short a year would be. we were young and innocent.
We were totally innocent. Plus, I had an 8 to 5 job. I think you quitted school and did an 8 to 5 job for a while in your father's company.
I did civil service.
You had serious problems in school because,
It was my last year in school then, at that time.
Because, they didn't like that you were a musician and you revealed that to them?
Hated it. Yeah, it was not about revealing it. When we did Battalions, I had a couple of people in my class or parallel classes that were doing sports. There was a girl that played tennis a lot and there was some guy that doing golf or whatever, I don't remember. And they got extra holidays whenever they had tournaments or stuff like that. And so I was stupid enough to go to the headmaster and say, we got signed, we got a record deal, and I have to go to the studio for 3 weeks. And he said, no, you don't, you come to school. And said, see you in 3 weeks. And they tried to kick me off school immediately. First day I went back to school, I had to go to the headmaster immediately, and then there was a conference with every single teacher. They had to decide about my fate, and just my music teacher and my English teacher, they both spoke up for me and said, this guy stays here. And that was a lot of trouble. And for when we did follow, we worked around that. My mother worked at the doctor back then, and she gave me a prescription saying I was sick. Obviously, everybody knew that I wasn't sick, and it got me in more trouble, but I just didn't care. It was, again, I came back after the studio, and my math teacher was like, are you feeling better again? I was like, yeah, I'm fine again. He was like, come to the blackboard. What did we do last week? Prove this and solve that. I was like, I have no fucking clue. And he was like, okay, F, you can sit down again.
But then at a certain point we started songwriting and we felt that the songs sounded good. Yeah, there was a change of inspiration. There was a change in the style. We got a little harder. We came up with the first songs. As far as I remember, it was Fast to Madness and Hall of the King. I might be wrong, but I remember that I did some lyrics for them fairly early, and as you mentioned, Michael Moorcock came in as a substitute for Tolkien on this album, and summer came basically, and we had maybe a handful of songs.
It was the time that we went to the Dynamo in Netherlands, and we watched the Dynamo Festival, and there was the newborn Testament playing. They just changed from Legacy to Testament, and were playing the first album, and was mind-blowing for us. And we said, wow, we need to be harder. We need really to be harder and have this punch. And even though that we never thought that we would copy this, but we only said, okay, let's go for our style, but make it a little bit harder, a little bit more punch. And that was what we did, was Follow the Blind. More in the face. Banish from Sanctuary is like really speed and faster and harder. And Hansi was singing with a little bit different attitude. I know that you had a cold at the time that you were singing.
I always have a cold.
But we were like, yes, he sounds so great now.
But now comes the but. We recorded the tape in the rehearsal room. That was one of the many rehearsal rooms we have had. Went to color prior to the production because we were scheduled, I think, for October 1988. Late October, early November, something around that it must have been. And in summer we went there with the songs we have finished. There might be 4 songs. I'm not sure if Banish was on there, but as said, Hall of the King and Fast to Madness, and maybe Dan for a Time. And we played the stuff to him, and he was shocked. He was completely shocked because he said, I can judge a rehearsal recording. And we said, well, yeah, maybe you can, maybe you cannot. But we believed he could. So we went there. He was completely shocked. He said, well, you changed your style completely. This sounds like shit. You better go back to the rehearsal room and come up with new songs. And we said, well, calm down, Kalle. This is just a rehearsal recording. So we explained him the progression of a song. And we felt very confident about the songs. They were more complicated, far more complicated. Especially Faster Madness was Final Warning back then, which was like 10 minutes long and not like it ended up on the album. So we went back to the rehearsal room, and that somehow pushed us. So we started songs and we progressed very quickly. Follow the Blind came up because we liked Forbidden and we wanted something of that style in there, and Fate's Warning, of course, so it had to be a little more progressive. I remember Banish might have been composed at that time, Beyond the Ice, and we just felt confident about the songs, but you know, we would have needed maybe another month and the album would have been even better.
Make it 6.
Yeah. But
We would have played more cards.
true. The studio was booked and Kalle refused to give us more head time. So we were forced to go into the studio. And during the last week of the songwriting, someone came up with a riffing and we just continued composing. And we said, well, we need a chorus with, you know, almost cheesy chorus, like, you know, something with Valhalla or so. And that's how we composed Valhalla.
And when Valhalla was ready, you and me considered the song to be the weakest song, and
Ever.
we wanted to, the weakest Blind Guardian song ever, and we wanted to skip it.
Yeah.
We didn't want it on the album. But then from the playing time, we had to take it because we didn't have any other material that we could choose.
We did not have, yeah.
And so we said, okay, then let's put this shitty Valhalla on the album. Yeah, it's true.
It is a reality. And I think it happened later on again that we really were not convinced about a song. You usually got a pretty good ear for the songs which would be, you know,
Probably, yeah.
successful.
Yeah, but he was the commercial
Commercial guy,
catchy
yeah.
poser.
Any young kid anyway. So yeah, we did Valhalla, went to the studio, and Kalle obviously recognized that there was more potential to the songs, especially to Banish from Sanctuary. And I, as said, you know, had to do the same thing I did with Battalions. I went from Krefeld to the studio, back, and the next day the same thing again. What I can recall is that the recordings went far more professional from our side, not only because of the down tuning and not only because of you playing with click. I don't know if we kept the schedule, which, you know, ever is, you know, we usually never keep a deadline. I cannot recall any album, but if, then it was Follow the Blind, where we might have been, you know, on schedule, because everything went smooth.
And that's why this is the weakest album of Blind Guardian. You know the story. It's better not to keep the schedule, but really put some more time in the music.
I remember, the funny thing is, because back then CDs didn't mean anything. We were just, you know, keeping our focus on vinyl, on the 38 minutes we needed for vinyl. So this is what we had. And then Charlie Winner said, you need another song because we need to release a CD, and a CD needs a bonus track. And
But
we did.
he only came up with this after we finished everything and we were back home already.
We were back home, and we said, yeah, we're taking care of that. And one fine day, Kalle called us and said, you are scheduled for tomorrow. We were playing cards in the rehearsal room and then discussing, yeah, what can we do? And then someone came up, I think it was you,
it was me, Demon, yeah.
with the idea of doing a Demon cover version. So we rehearsed that on...
We didn't rehearse it.
No, not even that.
We didn't.
So we went to the studio and had like 1 or maybe 2 days to accomplish that. But, you know, mission accomplished. It turned out to be a good song.
So let's head over to Tales from the Twilight World. I guess one of the most important key factors when it came to actually finding the Blind Guardian sound was that you invested in between Follow the Blind and Tales in your own recording equipment. Tell us a bit more about that and how you could use that for your songwriting.
Yeah, we had a very nice rehearsal room at that time in the first floor somewhere with a window with daylight, which I never made use of. But
With real living neighbors.
yeah, we had a really great room and we bought our first mixing desk and our first 16-track machine, which was an unbelievable improvement at that time to have a 16-track recorder. It was lots of work to build this little studio because we did all the cables and patch bass and all this by our own and bought some little effects as well. We started doing songwriting on this 16-track machine. So for the first time we could try out guitar orchestrations, or Hansi could try out the choirs before we went to the studio. With all the experience we had from the 2 studio sessions with the 2 first albums, we brought in all the new ideas and tried to write sounds that features these kind of trademarks, like good chorus parts with really nice choirs, melodic guitars with layers and double leads and everything. And I think like this we were able to really focus this kind of style and create our unique style. I would say Tales was the first album that we really established our own unique style.
And we covered the expenses by all the income we've had with Follow the Blind. So no one in the band took out any money. It was all invested into the studio recordings and it paid off, obviously. It was definitely the step we needed.
I remember me and Andre sitting in the rehearsal room one night because he said, wow, we have so fucking great recording equipment here now, let's do something, Tom. And we were trying and he was playing. I said, come on, let's just play. And then he said, hey, man, let's record this is cool. And that was how Weird Dreams started. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And he was totally in and was like, wait, this part and this part. And I was later, because it was so late in the night already, I remember me sitting in front of the mixing console and it started like... And in the morning, hey, Tom, I think I'm almost done with the song. Okay. Incredible. That was so funny that night, really.
So a new thing was that the recording went down in Hamburg this time. But I guess you had not much free time to spend on the city of Hamburg or at the Reeperbahn because you weren't finished with the songwriting yet.
Well, that didn't matter.
We did a pre-production, for the Tales album. We went to Duisburg to the SC Sound Recording Studio where we did the demos and recorded at least 4 or 5 songs. I cannot recall which ones. Lord of the Rings has been one of those. And,
Lord of the Rings, Welcome to Dying.
Lost in the Twilight World.
Lost.
Yeah, right. That's a funny story, Welcome to Dying, but we keep that out. And when we went to the studio, it was almost the same situation then with Follow the Blind. We needed 1 more month in the studio, and we were asking for that. So we contacted Kalle, and we said, well, Kalle, we could need another week or another month at home, to finish songwriting, because we knew Tales from the Twilight World would be something very special, and there was a very strong energy in all of the songs, and we just needed 1 more song. I think it was Last Candle we came up with, the last.
It was the last one, yeah.
And he refused. He said, you have to come. So we went to Hamburg or Brakel, which was supposed to be the first production in this studio, which Kalle and his companion Rolf built at that time. We were the first band and went in there and arrived, and he said, well, we're not finished, I'm sorry. So we were supposed to stay in the studio, and we did it, because driving back was, you know, something we could not imagine. It was 400 kilometers, the opposite direction, you know. So we stayed in the studio for 4 weeks, I think, before we could start with the production.
4 weeks?
3 or 4 weeks, you know. And in this time, yeah, we took our equipment with, because we were not finished, so we could finish the songwriting for Tales from the Twilight World before we started the production. But that's just because Kalle wasn't finished, you know, so we could have possibly finished this album at home and then went to Brake. The rest is history. I mean, Tales, you know, was maybe our breakthrough album, the third album, which was very important, and it all went pretty well for us. You had a great time because the studio had a really great sounding drum room. We enjoyed every minute there. So what we did was a lot of jamming, a lot of production, a lot of card playing again. We played a lot of table tennis again and enjoyed ourselves. It was quite a good.
But there was also the thing, he had to leave after his drum recordings
Yeah,
because
exactly.
of the lung thing. He
Yeah.
had some problems with his lungs and had to get a surgery.
I had to leave directly after the drum recordings, and the doctors even told me that I don't have to play the album, but I did, because we said we want to get it done anyhow.
The good thing of the production of the Tales was that we were so much better prepared than with any album before. I was very pissed with the follow situation, that we had such a little time to write the songs, and it was, I don't know, it was not really finished. And then with the Tales, we had this studio system, and we really worked every day on the songs. There was not one wasted day, maybe one, yeah, maybe two, but beside, we were really intense working on the songs. For the first time, we were making use of the equipment. We had everything prepared really well. We could try out so many things before. Because of our sound system, we were listening to the songs many times, and we could see already if there was a weak part, which you couldn't find out when you were rehearsing with the band. It was a real difference to have everything recorded so detailed. And so we threw out more weak parts, we rearranged the songs, we even re-recorded some songs, like 3 different versions, to see if a part fits in or not. We took lots of work, and so the songs were much better prepared when we recorded them in the Tales, and I think that's why the quality of the album is so much better. We really worked out the songs. It was the first time that we really, everything was fixed.
We also started working in shifts, I remember.
Yes,
You know?
yes.
You quitted civil service, I quitted my job. You quitted civil service
At some point, I was
and you
shortly
the same.
after him done. Yeah.
So we had, every day we had the typical rehearsal from, let's say, 5 o'clock in the evening to 10 p.m. or sometimes midnight. Then you stayed in, and I came in the morning by around 7, 8, you know. Yeah. You left, and I, you know, opened up the door and started working until we started rehearsing.
Yes.
So, and that's how we create the
So
songs.
there was always someone in the studio. 24 hours, there was someone of us in the studio working on the songs.
Yeah, and we did that almost for 10 years in a row.
Yeah. So that worked out really good, and it was a dream to work with this equipment. It was really, we could do so many experiments. Yeah, it was an amazing time somehow. We were very creative. The creative flow was much better. And yeah, the Tales was mind-blowing somehow from everything. The atmosphere we had in the studio was so great. The band was getting along well. We had all those nice friends who visited all the time in the studio. There was always kind of party going on while 1 or 2 guys were recording stuff. The whole feeling we had at that time, the way of living, the whole situation was fantastic in my point of view. And you can hear that this album is really so much energy. It's a flow of energy.
It's a very free album, I think. You know, the spirit is completely free-minded. There's, you know, there are no rules, there are no frontiers. It's a nice album.
And for the first time, we had Andreas Marschall as an artwork designer.
Oh.
And that was mind-blowing as well. When we saw that, the cover artwork, we were flying high in the sky because we knew that would be the punch in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tales was the first album that really, for a lot of people, was like a kind of concept album. But it wasn't a concept album. But it sounded like a concept album to a lot of people. Huh?
Yeah.
I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's, how do you say?
Compact. It's
very compact.
It fits.
Yeah.
You know, each piece seems
Yeah.
to be connected to the next one.
Yeah.
And yeah, the cover
Yeah.
just accomplishes the whole image of a
Just
concept
magic.
album. Yeah.
It's really magic.
Komm, Schatz. Ja, ist nicht nett.
Wird zwar sonst so schöne Sachen stehen. Kannst zeigen, wie laut mein Amp ist. Kannst wieder alles so drehen, wie es war. Sollen wir nochmal probieren? Micha, der Ton will noch was von dir. Machst du Bass, machst du nochmal höher? Ja. Und die Snare, ja? Ja. Und den Output.